Alright guys, I'm back. What else did we talk about Wednesday and Thursday in class? We talked about, like we said, blood vessels. We also talked about earlier in the week, and then we may have talked about it yesterday as well. You need to know what hypertension and hypotension is. Hypertension, high blood pressure. Hypotension, low blood pressure. Just make sure you remember that. Typical normal blood pressure is 120/80. The top number tends to be when your heart is contracting, which we call systole. The bottom number, which is normally like around 80, is diastole, when your heart is relaxed. And I'll post a picture up. I have it up on the board. That's why I'm looking over there, because I have it written on the board. But we learned about blood pressure. Remember, 120/80 is the normal blood pressure. The top number tends to be systole when the heart is contracting, and the bottom number tends to be diastole when the heart is relaxed. Hypotension is low blood pressure. Hypertension is high blood pressure. You don't want to have high blood pressure or low blood pressure, right? So it should be normally around 120/80. If your bottom number tends to be high, they're worried about if either one of your numbers are high, top or bottom. But if your bottom number tends to be high, that's not a good sign either, because that's when the heart is supposed to be relaxed. And this is the pressure of blood in your arteries, right? So the pressures that are on the walls of the arteries. So if your heart's supposed to be relaxed and your number is really high, it's not a good thing. So it's something to think about. We talked about blood pressure too, like who's at risk for high blood pressure. Obviously, if you're obese, you smoke, drink, high stress levels, and it can be somewhat inherited as well. That all put you at a risk to developing high blood pressure. We also talked about heart conductivity. Okay, so the heart runs, how does it pump? Okay, it's all electrical. And if you look in your notes, there's a part in your notes, just like it says blood vessels, there's a part that has heart conductivity. Okay, and it starts off by saying what you need to know, that the heart pumps due to electrical impulses. So it may say something like, what causes the heart to contract in a cyclic manner? So what causes the heart to contract in a cyclic manner over and over again? It's electrical impulses. Okay, just like there's a pathway of blood through the heart, there's a pathway for the electrical activity as well. I'm going to post a video up so you can see that. But basically it starts off in the SA node. The SA node is the sinoatrial node. That's the pacemaker of the heart. Very important. Put a little star by it. Remember it. You may see something that says, what is the pacemaker of the heart? That's the sinoatrial node, or the SA node. And it's this little bundle of nerve fibers at the very, very top, not too far past the superior vena cava. So it's like a little bundle of nerve fibers. It's almost like lighting a fuse. So you light the fuse and whoosh, kind of everything takes place. So it starts at the sinoatrial node, that's the pacemaker. It goes to the AV node, which the AV node is another little bundle of nerves that's in between your atria and your ventricles. So the SA node gets the two atria to contract. Your AV node is right there in between the atria and the ventricles, and that sets off another impulse. It goes down to the bundle of His, which is like this other little nerve patch, and then it goes to these two branches if you look at the video, and then they're your Purkinje fibers. So put a little star in your note by Purkinje fibers. They're the ones that go down, and if I'm doing like this, because you can see on the picture that I'm looking at, they go down, and the Purkinje fibers go all up inside of the ventricles and cause the ventricles to contract. So you may see, what node is considered the pacemaker of the heart. That's your sinoatrial node. What causes the ventricles to contract? Nerve fibers called Purkinje fibers. Purkinje fibers cause those ventricles to contract. So just something to think about. I'll post a video up kind of explaining it a little bit better. We did talk about heart conductivity today. Conductivity meaning the electrical impulses and the pathway that it flows on. SA node first, AV node, bundle of His, then your branches, and then it goes all the way down into your Purkinje fibers at the bottom that goes onto your atria. All that causes the heart to contract. So at the same time that we have blood flowing through the heart, we also have these electrical impulses happening, causing the heart to beat. So it's kind of crazy. The heart is an amazing organ. Blood flowing through at one time, at the same time electrical impulses are causing it to beat, which is kind of crazy. We talked about just how you see x-rays. In order to see if your bone is broken, you do an x-ray. In order to see if there's something wrong with your heart, they do an ECG or an EKG. If you walk in the ER and say you're having chest pain, they're going to throw an EKG machine on you and do an EKG real quick. And it shows, if there's anything going on with the heart. And also in the notes that you need to put a little star by is arrhythmias. People can have abnormal arrhythmias. If they're having abnormal heart arrhythmias, that means something is wrong, like in the electrical pathway. So like the SA node to the AV node to the Purkinje fibers, if something is wrong in that pathway, they're going to have an arrhythmia, and it's going to show up, an abnormal arrhythmia, and it's going to show up on that ECG. My mom, for example, has AFib. You may have heard people have an AFib before. Her heart races really fast every now and again. She knows something's up. She takes AFib medicine for it to keep it under control. If it's AFib, that means something's wrong with her atria or her atriums, right? So where that SA node goes to the AV node, that little there's something misfiring right there, and it causes her atria to contract really fast and quiver, and that's why she's got that racing heartbeat. That's an abnormal heart rhythm. Abnormal heart rhythm. So that means something's up. It's an arrhythmia. You can also hear people having VFib. The VFib's not good. VFib would be your ventricles. Something's up with your ventricles and they're misfiring. You'll hear that on like those medical shows like Grey's Anatomy and stuff. Oh my goodness, they're on VFib, or they're VFib. That means it's not good. Something's up with that. Then something's wrong with their ventricles, and they need to take a look at that and then get medicine and all to fix that usually. You also have bradycardia and tachycardia. I told the kids it may pop up on your test or it may pop up as a bonus. Haven't quite decided yet, but you need to know what bradycardia and tachycardia is. You'll hear that on TV shows too. They'll say, oh my goodness, he's bradying, or he's tachying. Bradycardia with a B, bradycardia. Sounds like Brady, like the name Brady. So bradycardia means they have an abnormally slow heart rate. Then you have tachycardia, means their heart rate is too fast. You don't want either one. You don't want a really slow heart rate. You don't want a really fast heart rate. Neither one is good. Okay. Again, that means something is wrong with the misfiring of their heart. Maybe the pacemaker part of their heart. My dad, and you may have heard of people having pacemakers before. The pacemaker node of the heart is the SA node. If there's something wrong with the SA node where it's firing wrong or something like that, they may put a pacemaker in the patient. Meaning something's up with their SA node, it's not firing like it should. Let's put a pacemaker in them to kind of regulate that and keep their heart beating as it should. So watch out for that. Make sure you know what hypertension and hypotension is, bradycardia and tachycardia. Again, bradycardia is slow heart rate, tachycardia is fast heart rate. Hypertension, hyper meaning you have too much of something, so high blood pressure. Hypotension means you have low blood pressure. We also watched a video today on angioplasty, so you may have heard of people getting balloons and stents in their arteries and stuff. We talked about before, on the outside of the heart is your coronary arteries. Your coronary arteries supply the myocardium of your heart with blood. Remember, myocardium is the muscular layer of your heart. It has to be able to pump. So your coronary arteries feed that myocardium with fresh blood. If your coronary arteries get blocked, like when people have heart attacks and that kind of stuff, your heart's doing this, the arteries get blocked, and the heart's not getting any blood supply, so it starts slowing down. They get chest pain, they can even have a heart attack and that kind of stuff. So they treat that in a lot of different ways. One of the ways they treat it is with an angioplasty, where they can put a stent or a balloon in, and it opens up the artery and holds the artery open. So that video is a good one to watch, and you may see something pop up on your test about angioplasty, like what is it? If you're, splinting the artery open with a balloon or a stent, what is that called? It's called angioplasty. Pay attention to the video too. They have x-ray techs in there, nurses, cath techs, doctors. If you're interested in the heart, the cath lab is a very interesting place to work. So it's definitely an interesting video, and the kids enjoyed watching it today. Wednesday kids, y'all didn't get to watch it, so that's why I put it up there too. The Thursday kids watched it. So Wednesday kids, make sure you're all watching it too. Okay? That's pretty much what we've covered this past week in health occupations. If you need anything, always email me, let me know. But I hope to see you guys soon.